once I started realizing how much I loved makeup, Bobbi Brown was actually a big inspiration for me. Really have a good consultation before you start doing anything on someone's face and ask the good questions that will get you to the best result. Brushes and then just how you blend things. You always want to really focus on pushing product into your skin versus swiping and swirling it all over.
What are some makeup tips? Like just some insider basic tips. I'm sure everybody asks you this all the time, but like how can somebody elevate their basic makeup look?
Good morning. Welcome to Bench to Bold. We are so excited to have our famous Caitlyn with us today, Makeup by Caitlyn. Caitlyn, thank you so much for being on our show today. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited as well. This is great.
Yeah, it's exciting times for us. This is our second week, so we're real excited about it. And again, thanks so much for squeezing us in before your trip out of town overseas today. So we're excited about it. So let's just jump right in.
Perfect.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump in and start asking you a lot of questions.
Absolutely. So for anyone who's listening or watching, my name is Caitlyn Dominic. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm from New York, and I'm a pro makeup artist. So that all started about 13 years ago. I was 22 years old, and it started out as my side hustle, just something that I was always super passionate about, which I'm sure we'll talk more about this during today's chit chat. And over the last three and a half years, it has turned into my full-time career. So I'm super grateful that I live here in Charlotte and have the opportunities that come my way. Within our community here, there are a lot of women, a lot of people who do want their makeup done for different events and occasions. I also teach makeup lessons. So we can definitely chat more about all of this, but it's just a little 2-second intro.
So, Caitlyn, what actually first sparked your passion for makeup artistry?
I get this question all the time. I feel like whenever someone's in my chair, they always say, so how did you start? And I always say that I have been passionate about art in general since I was very young. I was a toddler, already very into drawing and painting, like a lot of kids are, but I would say even more so. And so art was something that I was naturally just gravitated toward and was pretty good at it, like not to toot my own horn or anything, but I would win different, art contests, things like that. And so I think art and then makeup do go hand in hand. It's called makeup artistry after all. It's just painting on people's faces versus a canvas. So my passion for art from a young age and then dance was really what I did growing up instead of, like playing soccer or tennis or field hockey. I was on a competition dance team from a pretty early age throughout high school. And then I danced on a club team in college as well. And I think a lot of times if you danced or cheered or did pageants, there is an element to that has to do with the glamorous side of things, like your makeup and hair. So I learned how to do my makeup, I think, from dance. You have to know how to put on false lashes and red lipstick and winged liner. And my mom is also really good at doing her makeup. So again, when I was younger, maybe like between middle school and high school and started wanting to wear makeup, I did have a mom who kind of like knew what to do. Whereas I don't think everyone always has that experience.
Who are some of your fashion inspirations growing up?
I would say, let me think. Fashion when I was younger. I mean, I always consumed the kind of teeny bopper magazines. So when I was growing up, I guess like late 90s, early 2000s, I was reading like Teen Vogue, J14, Tiger Beat. And I feel like whoever was popular at the time, whether that was Britney Spears or like Mandy Moore, things like that. In terms of, I guess, maybe like the beauty world, once I started realizing how much I loved makeup, Bobbi Brown was actually a big inspiration for me, or to me. I feel like most people know who she is, but she's a very famous makeup artist. She had her own brand for a very long time. It still exists, but a different company owns it now. She also owns Jones Road Beauty. But growing up, again, late 90s, early 2000s, Bobbi Brown had a few different makeup books. And I remember asking my mom for them, and I consumed those books from cover to cover. And Bobbi talked about kind of how she broke into the industry. And I don't know if that was back maybe in the 80s, but obviously things were so different then compared to if a makeup artist wants to start out now. So different, right? We didn't have social media and technology. You really had to do a lot of like gritty marketing and putting yourself out there. So Bobbi Brown was definitely a big like beauty / makeup artist inspiration for me. And I think, yeah, just really inspired me.
We're so fortunate to have, you mentioned social media. We're so fortunate to have social media. Marnie and I did not have that growing up like you do today. And
I don't know. Maybe I'm glad that we
right?
didn't have it. So
it can be it can be, there's a lot of negative, but there's a lot of positive to it. But now we even have AI. Are you seeing any kind of trends with AI and makeup artistry?
Yes. So as with everything, there's always pros and cons. I will, I guess, start with the cons since that's what's popping into my head first. When I have certain clients sit in my makeup chair and then pull up inspiration photos, maybe it's a bride for her trial, or maybe it's a bridesmaid on a wedding day. They're pulling up images that are on Pinterest that I can tell immediately are AI. Like it's actually not a real person, but they're pretty good. Like they look pretty realistic. And so I always have to level set. And this is a newer thing that I'm seeing happen. There's always been Photoshop and Facetune, right? So you go on Pinterest and you search, let's just say, wedding makeup inspiration. You will for sure come across very beautiful images of stunning models. And I can always tell if it was Facetuned or Photoshop. But now there is just straight up AI. And so if I can spot that and that's the photo that I'm being shown, I'll say, I love this, but I don't think this is a real human. So what do you like about this image? And let's have a conversation from there. Do you like her lipstick shade, or do you just like the way she looks? Because she's actually not real. But I will say, there's things like Chat GPT, which I really didn't dip my toes into until a little more recently. I've been using it a little bit more just to help me out more so with business tasks, or if I'm ever stumped on an email response, maybe I need to send a difficult,
absolutely. I do the same
email,
thing.
I might ask ChatGPT to help me word it as kindly as possible. Other than that, I'm not doing anything too crazy with ChatGPT, but I do know a lot of makeup artists are using it in other ways, whether that's to help think of ideas of things to post on Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah, I use it for A Chic Alisa as well. I do. Okay. And I'm sure you use it for your business as well, Marnie, because it helps. Sometimes I'll just, Chat GPT, give me some viral trending hashtags or trending music to apply, or help me write this in a way that, it doesn't sound so AI or Chat GPT. If you talk to it and ask it specifics,
I think you have to ask. I think like with anything, I think even probably with makeup, like the more communication, the better. So I think that with ChatGPT as a friend or using it as a business tool, but I would imagine even the same way when you're communicating with clients, like the more information, the better. And obviously you're an artist. So sometimes people will say like, just use your own intuition. But I think in general, for people to get happy and satisfied results, if there's communication and then listening, it's not just communication, but not listening, then I think that that is where we can usually find ourselves being like, all right, that was a good outcome from that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's always a two-way thing. I know there are certain makeup artists who might get offended or upset. Maybe they do a makeup look and the client isn't totally satisfied with it. That's why it's so important to really have a good consultation before you start doing anything on someone's face and ask the good questions that will get you to the best result. People don't get their makeup done every day, whereas a makeup artist like myself, like I'm doing it every day. And so I think it's more my job to ask those questions that will kind of pull the information out of the client to really decipher what they're looking for, even if they don't know the right terminology to verbalize it. So I think that's kind of more so on the makeup artist to be leading with the questions that will help the client the most, if that makes sense.
So I know you've had some great career defining moments. I was there, honestly. I can tell you, I was so excited to be invited to your event that you held in Charlotte last fall now that we were at that event? That was a fabulous event.
It's been a while.
It's hard to believe that it's almost been a year since that event. And I know you've been in some magazines here lately. Talk to us a little bit about your most career defining moments.
Yeah, you really mentioned a couple of them right there. So, as I said in my little intro, I've been doing makeup for 13 years in total, but more so the last 3 where this has really been my focus and my primary career, my only career. And so I had been wanting to host my own event where I would teach a makeup look for a long time, but I think I had imposter syndrome for a while and thought, who would attend this? Who would want to learn from me? You kind of get in your own head sometimes. So Alisa, you were there for my event in January. I had it at one of the hotels in Charlotte in a ballroom. I was thinking in my head, I would be more than happy and also really shocked if 50 people came. And I sold 50 tickets, I would say within the first few hours of announcing the event. So that really, blew me away. And I'm not saying this to brag at all.
No,
but
it was a fabulous
I just
event.
wasn't really expecting it. So we ended up getting a bigger ballroom and had about 120 people. So for sure, that's something I won't forget. Hopefully I'll do, a similar type event in the future. But it took a lot of planning. And so I'm just not there yet, but maybe January of 2026, we'll see. Any other career moments? I would say another one from this year was this spring. I was hired and flown out to Hawaii for a destination wedding. And I think what was so, what made me so, I guess, flattered, was that the client, I had never met the client before. We never met, never worked together. And she lives in Los Angeles. And there's a lot of makeup artists in LA. There's a lot of celebrity artists. And to make a long story short, she could have hired anyone and hired me. Again, sight unseen, like never worked together before, but just trusted my work. And also my personality was one of the things that she said made her want to work with me. So I was very flattered. And yeah, my husband and I got to go to Hawaii this year and we made a whole trip out of it. And I did her makeup for 3 wedding events. And yeah, I'll definitely never forget that. And then probably one other somewhat recent like career moment that stands out for me was doing makeup for Paige DeSorbo and Hannah Berner. They are really popular, I guess, with like the millennial age category and maybe Gen Z. They have a podcast called Giggly Squad. They've also been on Bravo reality TV and they do other things. Hannah's actually a big comedian and Paige is like a fashion influencer and has her own brand. But anyways, they booked me to go with them to 3 different cities and do their makeup for a podcast tour. So that was also very, like a standout moment for me because I listened to their podcast too. So it was cool.
Yes. My daughter is a fan of yours because of Paige. And she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're going to have Caitlyn on your show. She did Paige's makeup. And I'm like, okay, can you I don't know what any of that means, but okay, great. Paige? So then I did my homework and I was like, oh, wow. All right. This is so cool. And so congratulations to you on that. All right. So what are some makeup tips? Like just some insider basic tips. I'm sure everybody asks you this all the time, but like how can somebody elevate their basic makeup look?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do get this question asked a lot. And that's also why people come to me for the makeup lessons that I offer. I would say through the makeup lessons that I teach, and I do them almost every day. So I feel like I'm pretty well versed and now have a good understanding of sort of what people might be doing wrong. And it has a lot to do with the brushes that you're using and how you're blending, more so than the actual makeup products themselves. So, I'm actually, in front of some of my brushes right now. So investing in good makeup brushes will go a long way. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, there are good brands that have great makeup brushes at a lower price point as well. But I would say just using the right types of brushes. So I'll give you an example. And since we're on camera, I can hold one up here. This is my dirty foundation brush that I used on my face this morning. But a brush like this, and for anyone who's just listening on audio, it is slightly dense and has a slight angle to it. It's called a bear paw brush. It's kind of like the shape of an animal paw. So this is great for any cream product like foundation, cream contour, cream blush, more so than something that looks like a paintbrush. Or what are some other types I see? I just see a lot of people using kooky makeup brushes. And I'm like, I don't know why the brands are even creating these. So brushes and then just how you blend things. You always want to really focus on pushing product into your skin versus swiping and swirling it all over or, using your hands and doing a whole bunch of this. That's the biggest difference between what a pro makeup artist does to maybe someone who's not a pro is all the brush work. That's probably my number one tip, to be honest.
All right. What are the new trends in makeup? What are people leaning into with makeup these days?
I would say probably, this is just what I see personally. So this maybe isn't across the board over the whole nation or world, but I feel like over the last maybe 5-10 years, I've noticed slightly more natural looks. Whereas a decade ago, what we call full glam was super, super in. And it still is. And there's like a time and a place for if you want that. There are a lot of incredible makeup artists who do those more full glam, almost like when you look at pageant makeup, like that kind of style. So pretty much anyone who reaches out to me and wants to work with me, they're usually wanting a softer look. And that's also kind of just how I approach makeup in general. And so therefore, those are usually the sort of bookings that I get. Yeah, just something a little bit on the softer, more natural side. And that is typically going to be more timeless, especially for wedding makeup. It's never going to be something that you look back on in 50 years and say, wow, what the heck was that makeup look? Yeah.
All right. So going forward, Caitlyn, like what are your dreams as far as a professional? Is it having your own makeup line, having your own studio? Like what's in the picture for you in the next 5 to 10 years?
It's a great question. I will be honest, I am not someone who, like, I usually set goals for myself for the year, but sometimes I have a hard time thinking that far ahead. It almost stresses me out. I wouldn't say a makeup line. I feel like the market is so oversaturated. And that's also why people come to me for these makeup lessons, because you walk into Sephora and Ulta and you feel insanely overwhelmed by the 1,500 different brands that are now offering, makeup. So I don't think that's really a goal of mine. I haven't really talked about this out loud because I don't love to tell people, like, I guess all of my goals in case they don't happen, but I would love to eventually create more digital work of some sort. So say for people who maybe don't want to do an in-person makeup lesson with me, even though I do offer virtual ones, I would love to create a catalog of different videos, whether it's an everyday makeup look, a wedding makeup look, a special occasion look, makeup for teenage skin, makeup for mature skin, lots of different videos that people could pay maybe a lower price point for and be able to just follow along. I would love to do that at some point. And I also would really love to create resources for other makeup artists, because I know when I first started in 2012, you had to figure everything out on your own. There really wasn't, again, the prominent social media that we have now. It was around a little bit, but not to this extent. And so you really just had to do trial and error with everything. And it would have been so helpful if there was somewhere I could have gone online to say, like, okay, how do I get started? What do I need in my makeup kit? How do I start booking clients? Like all of these things. And yes, you can find free advice on TikTok and Instagram, but I would really love to just bundle it all together in a professional way. And offer something like that to aspiring or existing makeup artists.
All right. So everybody looks different, but is there one product that you could say, or two products that, like, I always have this in my bag. It's my favorite lipstick or lip liner or cheek color, or something that is universal that would probably look good on most everybody that you would recommend?
Yes. So I'll give you a couple.
Okay.
So one would be the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Pressed Powder.
Okay.
I have encountered a couple people, in my career that say, oh, I got that and it didn't work for me. But overall, I feel like anyone I've recommended it to will come back and say, okay, this was worth it. I have it here. Let's see.
Okay. We're going to link these in. We're going to link these in the show. So it's the Charlotte Tilbury.
Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish. It's a pressed powder. And it comes in 4 shades. So from fair to deep, but it's not meant to be a foundation or anything like that. So I would say if you have light to medium skin, get the fair shade. If you have medium skin, get shade 2 or 3. If you have deeper skin, get shade 4. But it really doesn't have a lot of color to it. It's just meant to set your concealer. You can set your whole face with a little bit of this if you wanted to. But what I love about it is that it's very finely milled. Like the powder isn't chalky at all. It's not going to make you look cakey, which I know is like a term that everyone wants to avoid. So I would say the Charlotte Tilbury powder.
With what kind of brush how's the application for that?
Really good question. What you want, and I'm going to hold up another one, is a small fluffy brush.
Okay.
So the one that I'm showing on camera right now, this is the number 98 Pro Sephora brush. and it's technically made for highlighter. So most people would buy this and think it's a highlighter brush, but I like to use this to set under the eyes because it can really fit in that like small little crevice kind of right in your under eye and around your nose and throughout your T-zone. Whereas a really big fluffy brush, which is what most people use for powder, this is not going to do much under there. It's just going to kind of like, it's not going to do much. So you want a small fluffy brush.
Okay, that's great. I never knew that. So that is another great tip that I'm gonna have to go to Sephora or Ulta or something.
Yes, you and I can do a shop with me. I have a service called Shop With Me. We can go to Sephora together. I can hook you up.
Okay, great. All right. So what else? So that's one. What are the other products?
So that's one. Anything in terms of a colored product is a little bit tricky because usually there's not like one universally flattering lip color. For example, everyone has different tones, but I would say my most used blush is from Hourglass. I also have that right near my side, and I have it on my cheeks today, just a little bit. The Hourglass ambient lighting blushes are so beautiful. This is in the shade Sublime Flush, which usually when I show people, who I'm working with, it looks a little bit intimidating. It almost looks like a pinky peach, but it works on almost anyone. So Hourglass, the powder blush in the shade Sublime Flush. Really
okay.
Pretty.
So we can link that too.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to link all these things for our listeners and followers. Yeah. These are great. This is what you did well for me at your event that you had here in Charlotte. Was you had all these fabulous things at your event. And literally, I know I had 5 friends with me there. We all went on Sephora or Ulta and ordered everything that you suggested. And I'm still using it today. Yeah, it's fabulous.
It's great.
Thank you. So Caitlyn, how do you find a good makeup artist?
Oh, so now I feel like it is mostly social media, in my honest opinion. I don't know if anyone and everyone would agree with me on that. But if I were to be visiting, let's just say Las Vegas, I'm not going on Google to search at this point. I will go probably to Instagram first and type in Las Vegas makeup artist, start to see who pops up in the search results. And then I'll look at tagged photos too. So aside from looking at an artist page, I kind of want to see other people's photos of their work. So that's kind of, I feel like, how it happens on Instagram. TikTok is also a great place to search. Of course, you can use Google, but I don't know. I feel like nowadays it's more so Instagram and TikTok. I would not be surprised if in the near future, ChatGPT becomes a more prominent kind of source of finding a makeup artist, or if you're an artist yourself, I guess like getting found that way. I haven't seen it much. I think I've had 1 or maybe 2 inquiries come through on my website. That's how people inquire with me, is through my website. And I always ask, how did you find me? And there's a drop down, menu where you can select Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, referral, whether it's a client referral or something else. But there have been a couple of people who have typed in ChatGPT, which I thought was super interesting. So I'll be curious to see if that becomes more popular in terms of like a driving source for leads. Yeah. And then of course, word of mouth is still very, very popular and important. So it's very important that you always think about your reputation, because and just how you act, how you present yourself, how you show up to a job, how you dress, all of the things, because, you just never know who you might be working on and whether or not they're going to go to their best friend or a coworker and either give a glowing review or not.
Yeah,
so
and you never know.
Word of mouth is still important.
Yeah, and you never know who they may know. They may be best friends with, a famous person, and that, and that could set your world on fire and just blow you up, right? Or it could kill your business, So that's the thing. You know, when you're on a business, when you're a business owner, you have to really pay attention to how you present yourself.
You do. And that doesn't mean you have to act fake. Like, I think I'm very, very real. I'm just like, I am who I am, but I'm very, like, I'm thinking about my business all the time. And yeah, just the way you carry yourself, it does matter. So you should always be who you are, but thinking of those things.
So we're waving our vegetable magic wand here. Who are you putting makeup on, aside from, of course, us? But I mean, who would be your the one person you're like, I really want to do their makeup?
I know. I need to do your makeup soon. My number one answer is so easy. I have been wanting to do her makeup for probably 4 or 5 years now. Olivia Colpo. So if anyone has a connection to Olivia, I have been dying to do her makeup. Obviously, her and Christian lived here for some time. They still have their house here. I follow her, of course, on Instagram and TikTok, so I know that they're still in Charlotte here and there. I have no idea if she would ever have a reason to get her makeup done while in Charlotte. You know, I feel like most of her photo shoots are probably taking place in LA, but I've really been wanting to do Olivia's makeup for a long time.
So what are some things that people would not know about being a makeup artist that I think are important to share? Because there's a lot of people that are maybe considering going into the field. So I have a friend who's a photographer, and one of the things that always comes up is the amount of stuff that they have to lug around. It's not just like, oh, I just have my little camera. It's like, oh no, there's like 20 bags and, you know, so probably similar for a makeup artist, but what are some things that people would not know about a makeup artist and the life of a makeup artist?
I love this question. I feel like so many things come to mind. So yes, to your point, the amount of stuff, and you can really tailor that up or down. I would say I bring a pretty decent amount of quote unquote stuff with me to bookings when I'm going to someone's location. The room that I'm sitting in right now is also my makeup room. So I take clients here as well. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff, which also leads me to say it does cost money, right? You're not just going to buy products one time. Like for a photographer, you buy an expensive camera, you buy some expensive lenses. If you're a film photographer, you're developing the film, but you're probably not buying a brand new Canon camera once a month. Whereas with makeup, I'm usually in Sephora about twice a week. So my expenses are probably higher than what most people think. However, I would caveat that by saying I do a lot of makeup, probably more so than certain maybe makeup artists in the area who, let's say, only do weddings. I'm pretty much doing makeup every day. So I go through it pretty quickly and I also love it. So do I need to go to Sephora twice a week? No, I definitely do not. But like, I just love to buy everything that's new and then be able to recommend it to my clients, my following, you know, my community. So it does cost money. It's not just like this one upfront cost of building your kit initially. You do have to keep up with it. But if you're first starting out, you can absolutely, you know, buy lower price point items. And of course, your pricing is going to reflect that. Your years of experience, you know, are going to be built into your pricing as well. So when you're newer, when I first started, I definitely had a kit with Revlon and Maybelline, and that's totally fine. But I was also only charging like $25. You have a lot of other expenses too, just like any small business would, right? Whether it's website, you know, email, professional email domain, all of these different subscriptions that really just help you run a business. But I would say more so than any of that is being a makeup artist. It's definitely not all glam. Like people always say, oh, you have such a fun job. And I do, but I work really hard. It's a physical job too. So, you know, at the moment for me, unless I'm going and doing someone's makeup, you know, you're really not making money otherwise. So it's all based on you and your bookings. So like we said, I'm about to leave to go on a trip for 2 weeks today. I'm not going to make money during that time. You don't have PTO. You know, I'm on my husband's health insurance, so I'm lucky, but maybe if you're single, you're going to have to get your own health insurance. So there's always pros and cons, just like literally any job. But I would say the biggest thing is you really kind of have to work in order to get your clients and just maintain that level of booking or the like quantity of bookings that you want in order to make money. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Definitely. All right. Well, how do people find you, Caitlyn? Where can they go find you and potentially hire you, but certainly see everything that you're doing?
I would say 3 places. So you can head to CaitlynMichelle.com. That's CAITLYN Michelle.com. That's my website. That has all my information with pricing and everything. And then Instagram is at Makeup by Caitlyn, CAITLYN. And then TikTok is at Makeup by Caitlyn Michelle.
Wonderful. All right. Well, we're going to wrap things up here and immediately go get that powder and some cheeks. And, we're going to probably then...
We're going to storm Sephora.
Exactly. And then, send you some pictures and tell you, how did we do? But we're not going to interrupt your trip. So go enjoy
Have
your
so
2
much
weeks.
fun.
Yes. And see what what the trends are in, across the pond or in the European countries and
report back.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Report back. So Caitlyn, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insight. And thank you everybody for tuning in to Bench to Bold. I'm Marnie.
And I'm Alisa.
And thanks.
Stay tuned for our next show. Thank you. Bye. Bye, Caitlyn.